What's up, guys, and welcome to another edition of Market Marauders, beating the market one trade at a time. For your Market Marauders investment channel, helps you find the best deals in the market. So if you're interested in, make sure you hit that thumbs up button and the subscribe button down below. Definitely helps out the channel. Now today I'll be giving you my weekly options watch list from the perspective of Webull. If you'd like to sign up for Webull and get 2 free stocks when you deposit $100 or more, I have a link down below in the description, so make sure you check that out. So without further ado, let's jump into it. First one on my watch list for this week, coming up, we have Zoom, ticker sign ZM. So if you're not familiar with what Zoom is, it's a streaming, not as far as like media streaming, but streaming is like video chatting service, sort of like Microsoft Teams, where you can video call people. Their moving average 10 is $487.90. Moving average 50 is $479.36, and the moving average 100 is $484.94. They ended the day today at $482.23. After hours went down to $480.03. So if we look at here, they are bullish, denoted by the moving average 10 line being this red line above the moving average 50 and the moving average 100. So I would say they are still bullish, even though it is very close. VWAP is still pretty high, but the moving average 10 line is still above both those metrics. So interested to see how that performs next week as time goes on. So go to some background information on them. Their second quarter, which was previously, this came on the 31st of August, so pretty old news, but the second quarter total revenue was up 355% year over year. Number of customers contributing more than 100,000 in TTM revenue, up 112% year over year, and approximately 370,200 customers with more than 10 employees, up to 458% year over year. So pretty good metrics as far as their physical second quarter is concerned, and I think the company still has a very good growth potential. So if you're not familiar with what's going on in the United States, the president has been diagnosed with the pandemic, so he is getting himself and his wife also both tested positive, so they are in quarantine at the current moment. So with things like that, important people in the government getting sick, I think that is just a realization that the pandemic is real to the American people or to the world in general, that anybody can really get it. So try to stay safe out there, you all. If you are out and about, make sure you're aware of surroundings. You're sanitizing your places that you go to, washing your hands, following all the CDC guidelines that are out there. Make sure you're following all those guidelines to keep you and your family healthy and safe. But with that being said, I do see an increase of people using Zoom. So with more and more people getting sick, I definitely see Zoom still being a feasible option for the people who haven't started using it to start using it, especially companies and corporations and other events as well. Also in the news, my hometown team, Tennessee Titans, a couple of players tested positive for that. So if you're a sports fan, you're all familiar with that. But if you're not a sports fan, a couple of Tennessee Titan players tested positive for the pandemic as well. So, it's not, negated. It still happens. People do still test positive for it. So with that being said, virtual meetings and things of that nature are still going to be a prevalent thing going on, and with Zoom being one of the leaders of them, I do believe that they will continue to grow as time goes on. So with that being said, going into the option side, I think a call with the expiration of January 15th is going to be the best option. Now, considering that their 52-week high is $529.74. I think an option between $490 to $520 is a good price range to consider. If you're looking at it, you pay between $7,360 per option to $6,190 per option. Now, those are pretty pricey, but the price of Zoom does fluctuate quite a bit, so it's not out of the question to see that price get that high as time goes on, especially with the amount of cases of the pandemic continuing to grow as time goes on, more users using Zoom, and more organizations themselves using Zoom, relying on them to continue with business as well as sports and things of that nature. So, jumping to the next stock that I have on here for my watch list, we have ticker sign MSFT, which is Microsoft. Microsoft, in the previous weeks announced their new Xbox. It looks really nice. Hopefully I'll be able to purchase one or the PS5 when it comes out. I haven't had a gaming system in quite a while, so I'm looking forward to the launch of both of those. I know a lot of them have been sold out in places, and where I live, we do not have a GameStop, so I haven't been able to camp out to get one. But hopefully I'll be able to get one of the systems, whenever I find some time and get around to doing it. So its moving average 10 is $207.39. Moving average 50 is $209.74. And moving average 100 is $207.87. It ended the week at $206.19, and after hours went to $205.25. So it is bearish, denoted by the moving average 10 being below the moving average 50, which is the purple line, and the moving average 100, which is the yellow line. So if we see they have begun a downtrend, a bearish downtrend where it has gone below both of these resistance levels and continue to go down. So going to some press releases on them, just going to really read some of the highlights of the press releases, not going to dive too far into them. These are pretty recent though. Says Microsoft partnership signals a new generation for digital foundation in Australia businesses. Shell and Microsoft form alliance to help address carbon emissions. AT&T and Microsoft streamline cloud connectivity for IoT devices worldwide. So if you're not familiar with IoT it's the Internet of Things. Basically, 5G, using 5G to remotely connect to devices, wherever you're at. That's basically what IoT is. And Microsoft to acquire ZeniMax Media and its gaming publisher Bethesda Softworks. So I talked about that previously in the past. It was a pretty big move in my opinion, and a good move forward for the whole Xbox community. And they've increased their dividends. So a lot of positive move going on for Microsoft in general. The announcement of their new gaming system, and their implementation of Microsoft Teams to combat Zoom. I know the company I work for actually uses Microsoft Teams. I use Microsoft Teams at home, so I know it's very popular. Zoom, on the other hand, is the other alternative to that. But I know Microsoft Teams, it's either one of the two. You either use Zoom or you use Microsoft Teams. So I think they definitely rise to the call of action and grew that Teams department when the whole pandemic situation started, and also their whole Xbox division. They're continuing growth of that as well. So a lot of good moves for Microsoft in general. Going into the options side of them, we're going to look at ticker sign MSFT for Microsoft. And we're going to continue with the expiration date of the 15th of January, 2021, just because I think it's enough time for all of these things to execute. Now, considering that Microsoft's 52-week average is $232.86, I think an option or a call, in my opinion, is the best option. So the call is the left-hand side. Me personally only buy calls or buy puts. I don't sell calls or sell puts. That's just my trading style. You can do either one, whichever you prefer. So I think buying a call is probably the best position, and definitely considering this expiration date. So this expiration date will be after the pre-order numbers come out for Xbox, as well as some of those being delivered, and more news fueled of the Xbox system. So I'm also keeping that into consideration because I don't think that is priced in at the current moment or at the current price that it is at. So with that being said, with the 232 being its 52-week high, I think a price between 210 to 230 is a good option. You're looking to pay between $1,510 per option or per contract to $780 per contract. So a little bit cheaper or a lot cheaper than the Zoom calls, but definitely something that I think could capitalize as time goes on. So going to the third one, we have ticker sign NFLX, and that is for Netflix. Their moving average 10 is $509.76. Moving average 50 is $505.65, and the moving average 100 is $492.25. They ended the week at $503.06. And it looks like after hours they went to $502.60. So I would say that they are bullish at the current moment, but starting a bearish downtrend. So bullish denoted by the moving average 10 line being above the moving average 50 and the moving average 100, but we're not going to negate the fact that they ended the day below the moving average 50 line. So even though the moving average 10 line is saying that they are bullish and signaling that they are bullish, most likely when the market opens, if it doesn't come back above this resistance of 505.65, which is where their moving average 50 is, then most likely it's going to continue the bearish downtrend. So definitely keep your eyes out on that one as the weeks go on. So going into the newsroom, there's just some of the stuff going on from their press releases. So they announced an original anime series, Resident Evil, Infinite Darkness, coming in 2021. One story away, Captain celebrates the power of storytelling, and Netflix now speaks Malay. So, or I hope I pronounced that right. So there's some other things going on, just some highlights and global news of what's going on with them. Going into overview from the financial side, this is the investor side. They do have an earnings coming up. It's going to be on October 20th. So make sure you go check that out. Lots of good information on their path forward, their numbers, the amount of new users that have increased as time goes on, and definitely long-term perspective on where the company is going. So a lot of good information for them, and also, a lot of good volatility for options. So with that being said, going into the options side, we're going to type in ticker sign NFLX for Netflix. We're going to be continuing with the expiration of January 15, 2021, and their moving average of 50 is $575.37. So we're not going to go above that metric, but I do believe a call is the best option. I think the amount of users has increased with the company. So, I would definitely, look at that metric. Well, yeah, I definitely look at that metric. So 575 is like the ceiling of where to go. But this one, I would say, try to play it safe. So between 510 to 540 is a good safe metric, in my opinion, for that expiration. So you're looking to pay between 5,415 looks to be that number to 4,245 per option. Now, there are not that many options on here. So, if it came down to it on which one to buy, I would definitely, just keep your eyes on it, watch it. Bear in mind, this is when the market is closed, so these prices will all change and fluctuate. So I would just saying watch it, put it on your watch list, and see how it performs coming closer to earnings. So going to my next one on here, we have ticker sign J&J, and that is for Johnson & Johnson. So the moving average 10 on them is $147.23. Moving average 50 is $147.53, and the moving average 100 is $146.65. Now, if we look at here, they are bearish, denoted by the moving average 10 being in between the moving average 50 and the moving average 100 line, which is the purple and yellow line. VWAP seems to be following that moving average 10 and moving average 10 line. So seems like they're right on par with that. If we look on here, they were bullish at one point in time, but then went down. And the catalyst to me that made this stock go to be bullish was the press releases that came out this week. So going to jump into that and see what's going on with the stock and see if it could continue to go back to being bullish as time goes on. So this is some of the press releases that came out. So yesterday they said that they completed their acquisition of Momenta Pharmaceuticals Incorporated. On the 30th, it said that Simponi Aria approved by the U.S. basically FDA, which is one of the drugs that they have coming out. Then they also said they submitted an NDA for Uptriva, which is an injection for PAH. And then it says that they post intermittent results from the phase 1 of 2A clinical trial for the pandemic candidate. So this was the big catalyst, in my opinion, this update for the pandemic that basically shot the stock up. It's going to be their vaccine candidate J&J 784-36735. So I think if there are more updates on this coming forward, that the stock will continue to shoot up. A lot of different moves have been going on. AstraZeneca being paused by the FDA in the U.S., but in Japan continuing, their trials. Inovio basically being paused as well by the FDA. Pfizer saying, they're continuing on track with what they're doing. Moderna, I think, was paused as well. But no, Moderna wasn't paused. Moderna basically said that they're not going to have their vaccine by the time the election starts, which is November 3rd. But they said that more realistic timeline would be after Thanksgiving. So, Johnson & Johnson and Pfizer, in my opinion, are the only two who are still on track to try to get this out before the election. So definitely keep your eyes out on those two, especially, this one, considering where they are in their trial. So with that being said, going into the option side, type in J&J. Then we're going to have January 15th. Going into looking at J&J, 157 seems to be where their 52-week high was at. So I think a call is the best option for 150 to 155. I'm not going to push it and say 160, but I think based off the catalyst of having vaccine news come out from the company, I think that the stock can shoot up based off of that. And it shot up pretty high based off of the news when it first came out. So on here, it looks like we'll be paying between $555 per option or per contract to $365 per contract. So definitely keep your eyes out on them, especially the press releases that come out from their vaccine candidate and the progress on the data. So lastly, going into the last one that I have on my watch list is JPM for Jpmorgan Chase. Moving average 10 on them is $97.86. Moving average 50 is $96.52, and the moving average 100 is $95.17. So they are bullish, denoted by the moving average 10 line being above the moving average 50 and moving average 100, which is purple and yellow line. VWAP seems to be up as well and continuing to go up, trending this moving average 10 line. They ended the day at $97.87, but after hours went down to $97.51, which is not too bad. Going into some background information on them, just reading some of the press releases, the titles. Jpmorgan Chase resolves investigation into precious metals and U.S. Treasuries markets. Jpmorgan Chase announces completion of final first of cash tenders offer in certain of its senior notes. Jpmorgan Chase issues $1 billion inaugural green bonds. They appoint Stephen B. Burke as lead independent director. They declare preferred stock dividend and says declare common stock dividend. So, a lot of things going on with the company. The fact that they still give a dividend is pretty good. I definitely think that numbers-wise, they benefited from the pandemic. Financially, I know that they have earnings coming up semi-soon, so I definitely have an eye on them as time goes on. So with that being said, and because I think their financials are really good, and what they've done with their financials are pretty good, I think a call is the best option for Jpmorgan Chase. So their 52-week high is 141.10. So we're not going to go all the way to 141.10, and we're also going to go all the way to January 2021 because I think that their earnings would have come by then. I can't remember the exact date of their earnings, and it wasn't on the press release thing. So I think it's in a month or so. So January would be enough time for this to rally before that actually executes. So with 141 being the high, I think between 100 to 120 is a realistic value. If you want to go and push it just a little bit, I would say between 125 to 135 is a pretty good value. So we'll just say 100 to 135 is a pretty good value, in my opinion, for a call, especially considering their financials are pretty good, and their overall background, in my opinion, is pretty good. So you're looking to pay to $610 per contract to $31 per contract. So after all of them, pretty more realistic value as far as jumping into buying an option. And definitely has potential to reach that number or get close to that number. Bear in mind, options perform on volatility. So volatility is key in order to get your contract to execute for you to lock in those profits. If you're interested, looking and see how to trade or what trading is like or the moves that I'm making in the market, I do have a 52-week series that I'm doing, so make sure you check that out in the playlist. So good luck to everybody trading out there this week. Hope everybody's able to lock in profits. Hope everybody has a good week trading next week, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.